It's great to have new young council members because we all knew him when he was active with the Rise Youth Center as a young person and then worked for former Assembly Member Tony Thurmond. So great to have you on the council. So we want to welcome you today. This is not just only for the benefit of those of you here today, and I know you talked to many other individuals, but we're recording this on Contra Costa TV and will be edited and shown around the county as well. So we appreciate everybody being here and appreciate those watching as well. So I want to thank Joan Carpenter in my office, who really came up with the idea to be on this, to work with League of Women Voters and really put this event on and to combine a lot of important topics about important community participation. And the purpose of today is really to talk about the best ways for the community to be involved, to have an impact. And there's a lot happening right now, and it's a really important time, so I'm going to talk about some of those things. You are going to hear later from folks working on the census. I can't tell you how important that is. You know that. It affects how much federal funding we get here in Contra Costa County. It affects representation in Congress. In fact, we are worried that because the federal government may add a question about citizenship, that we are going to have an undercount of immigrant families, and that impacts us. And so we are going to have to work extra hard to do outreach to make sure that we are counting everybody for the census, and you'll hear more about that. Another thing I will say, the county is in the middle right now, for the very first time in about 25 years, updating our general plan, which affects the planning and zoning for the unincorporated areas of the county. So out here in West County, it'd be North Richmond, for example, El Sobrante, Kensington, and Rodeo. Other parts of the county, it's Discovery Bay and Alamo and Bay Point. So the idea is we are working through a series of community meetings. We've had a number of them already around the county. There will be a lot more. To really develop the vision for what residents want Contra Costa County to look like over the next 20 years. And for the first time, we are going to be adding policies on health, sustainability, environmental justice, and economic development. All very important issues. Already San Pablo and Richmond have health elements and health policies in their general plan. That's great. So we will be adding those and others. And really the general plan is what's called the constitution of land use. So zoning has to be consistent with the general plan. So that is an important thing going on, doesn't happen often. We're also in the middle of updating our climate action plan about how our county meets the goals of reducing greenhouse gases. So that's an important thing happening right now as well. You're going to hear from our elections office about some very new initiatives that make it easier to register to vote and register to vote by mail. I really want to acknowledge the leadership of Joe Cansamilla and his team, his staff at the elections office to really work hard to make voting more accessible. Right? Thank you. There's also a chance for the public to serve on a county civil grand jury. We don't appoint that. The Superior Court appoints the civil grand jury. They've already been impaneled for the new one for this year, but I just want to mention that that's something to watch for every year because it's a chance for the public to really look at the practices of city and county government here in Contra Costa and special districts and look at how to recommend making changes to make government more responsive, more accountable, and if something isn't going well, to make recommendations on changes, and that's the Contra Costa Civil Grand Jury. I'm going to say a little bit about county commissions as well. I really value the input that I get from the commissioners that I've appointed here in West Contra Costa, but county commissions deal with almost every subject and issue you can think of across this county and apply not just to unincorporated areas, but to issues for people who live in cities. I'm going to talk about a few of them and hope that you can talk to others and tell them about it, and we have a lot of great outreach on it. So I'm going to go quickly through just a few commissions. If you live in an unincorporated area of Contra Costa, we have in many of those areas what's called a municipal advisory council. So out in West County here, we have one in North Richmond, we have one in El Sobrante, we have one in East Richmond Heights, and we have one in Kensington. And in other districts, for example, we have Rodeo and Bay Point and Alamo and Discovery Bay. So there are these municipal advisory councils, with one exception, are appointed by the Board of Supervisors, and they hear presentations from county staff on many issues, and they make recommendations to the local supervisor and the Board of Supervisors in general about issues happening in their community, development issues, crime and safety issues. So, for example, the North Richmond Municipal Advisory Council has been spending a lot of time on how to make the community more vibrant, beautification issues, what land use, what types of new development should happen, all really important ways to be involved. And they act like a local city council. Their decisions aren't binding, but they are of great value to us and to county staff. We have a number of commissions by subject area, and I'll just run through a few of them. We have the Alcohol and Other Drugs Advisory Board for those who are interested in making recommendations on policies dealing with substance abuse and alcohol abuse. And we have an Art and Culture Commission. We have an Aviation Advisory Committee because we have airports. We have a Commission for Women that's very active. We have an Economic Opportunity Council, an Emergency Medical Care Committee. We run the EMS system in Contra Costa. That's, fire and ambulance first responder. And they make recommendations along with other medical professionals about emergency medical care. We have a Family and Children's Trust Committee. In fact, that's where Tony Thurmond got his start. Tony and I joke about this. We appointed him to the Family and Children's Trust Committee way back over 15 years ago before he ever ran for public office. That was his first involvement in local government here. And of course now he is our state superintendent of public instruction for the whole state of California. We have a First Five Commission. In fact, I'm actually looking for some outreach. I'm doing some outreach to try to fill a vacancy. It's the commission that decides to spend how to spend the tobacco tax money on issues related to children 0 to 5. A commission with a fair amount of power. And if you know someone who's interested, I'm really looking for somebody here in West County to be a good advocate for children on those issues on the First Five. We have a library commission. Of course, this is a great library here we're in. This has been a great partnership, as the council member said, between the city of San Pablo and Contra Costa County. We have a mental health commission that's very active. We have a planning commission. And we also have a relatively new sustainability commission that also is working on how we have policies in Contra Costa that make us more sustainable. So there are those. We have a website. If you go to the county's website, there is information about each of these commissions, which vacancies exist, who's currently on it, and whatever part of the county you live in, there may be vacancies, and some of these positions are filled by the local or recommended or nominated by the local district county supervisor. Others go to a committee of our board and are at-large seats. So we have both at-large and as well as the district seats. So I want to be brief. Just wanted to talk about those items. And again, to say there's a lot going on for citizen involvement, and that's in addition to all the great nonprofits. We are so fortunate in Contra Costa, especially in West County, but in other parts of the county as well, to have so many great community-based organizations that are very active. In fact, actually one commission I didn't mention because we just filled all the vacancies is we have a new expanded Juvenile Justice Advisory Council that is working to develop policies, working with our probation department on juvenile justice, especially how to keep youth out of the justice system. And in fact, what led to the formation of some commissions, like we have a racial justice oversight board as well, that is making recommendations on changes to our justice system in Contra Costa, specifically eliminating the disparity that exists where African Americans represent a much higher percentage of those who are incarcerated in both the juvenile and adult justice systems than their representation in the population. And that a lot of that is the result of implicit bias in the system, failure to have opportunities around the county. And that commission was really formed because of the advocacy of the Racial Justice Task Force, which was a countywide group of residents, strong advocates, arguing for removing disparity in the justice system for equity. And so I just want to really emphasize how important it is to be involved in the many great community-based organizations we have. So with that, I'll take some questions. Now's the time to take any questions on this and other things. Again, appreciate you being here, and on the voting questions, our Joe Cancemel and his staff will answer those. But if you have any, yes, and we have a list.